This is the Transformers Robots in Disguise Warrior Class or Deluxe Class Grimlock. The figure is part of the first wave of the new Robots in Disguise Warrior Class or Deluxe Class series of figures. No manual. You have to keep the card to keep the instructions. The instructions are 10 steps, which I think are more than 10 steps, but we'll see. We can go ahead and follow the instructions as we do the review. That works. So here he is. I know, before you guys start typing and saying, whoa, that's on my Grimlock. My Grimlock didn't come with accessories. This Grimlock did not come with accessories. I just put it on for the review, obviously. This is a sword from one of the Predacons in the G1 Predaking reissue. G1 toys were really nice back in the day. I just put it on because it looked great to give Grimlock a sword. And this is actually from another G1 toy, an old vintage Grimlock G1 figure I had. This is his standard, this is his Dinobot double blaster that, really fits this guy very well. And I'm glad Hasbro kept to the specs on the pegs. And yeah, I know on the show he doesn't have accessories yet. But the Creo toy, the mini custom Creon Grimlock, they gave him a sword, for crying out loud, and parts to do a gun. This guy, they didn't give him anything. They didn't give him squat for weapons. And to think that, I would think that, okay, no weapons, you can save on plastic, you can make the figure give it more articulation, or make it bigger. As it is, he's puny. He's about this a little bit shorter than Bumblebee by a bit. I mean, if you stand Bumblebee up, yeah, just by a couple of millimeters, he's shorter. When on the show, he'd be like a big deluxe class figure. He should be a bigger deluxe class figure, or the Voyager. I mean, if Hasbro had no plans of making Voyager class figures for this line, they could have made a big deluxe instead. Because this is a very hollow figure. There's not a lot of plastic in it. I don't understand why they couldn't have just increased the size. They do that all day long with the Marvel figures. The Marvel figures, you get Hulk, you get Captain America, you get Iron Man. These are different sized figures, and yet they're the same price point. So what gives, Hasbro? So that was a bit of a deal breaker for me. Yeah, a little bit disappointed. I was sort of expecting him to be just a tad bit bigger. Just like that. That would have been perfect. Just like half an inch bigger or taller. That would have been great, Hasbro. And here he is with the Universe Classics Grimlock. This is the Henkei version. That's why there's all chrome. And he's much shorter. Had he been this big, I mean, this guy was pretty small back in the day. Nowadays, he's actually big. Had he been this tall, I would have been fine. I wouldn't have thrown a hissy fit over the size or scale. I mean, they could have easily done that. This is a deluxe class figure. I mean, come on, Hasbro. So, a little bit disappointed with this figure at the get-go. But we'll see. Paint apps on him, again, very disappointed. The black plastic they use, I know there's no paint on the black, but there's a lot of scratching on most of the black panels that this comes in. I sifted through several on the pegs. Every single panel has some of these scratching here and there. The green paint apps, and the black paint apps, they bleed into each other, which is, annoying, considering the fact that Hasbro has a lot of very little QC issues with their Transformers, not like Marvel. So a little bit disappointed there. The gold on his face, man, that's probably the worst paint apps this figure had. I've seen figures that had half of the cheek unpainted. Some figures had overlapping gold paint on the eyes and on the chin. I mean, come on, Hasbro. You gotta give this guy more. I mean, this guy's gonna be the most popular character on the show, next to Bumblebee. You gotta do justice to the figure. I mean, so again, another issue I have. Finally, on the sculpt, aside from the fact that he's very small, he has these Dinobot arms just under his arm. So underarm arms. That I wish they could have folded it. I mean, if he was Waspinator, I would totally have understood. I mean, I would have dug it, but sorry, lighting's off. But as it is, they just fold this way. I wish they were on ball joints or something that they could have collapsed inward over here and not be unsightly and ghastly as these. So a lot of issues with this figure. This one, I was expecting very little, and I was very, very impressed with it. This one, I guess I was expecting a bit too much. And that's why it's a little bit of a letdown. So, yes, I'm small. Anyway, so you get that sticker. You can scan with your iPad or iPod, whatever camera. With the game, you can play with it. So the sculpt, a little bit disappointed with it. Articulation's got a swivel neck, no waist swivel. I mean, there's nothing to stop Hasbro from putting a waist swivel there. I mean, they could have solidified this piece, made it 2 pieces. He didn't have weapons, so you could have spent a little bit more giving him some waist articulation. I mean, yeah. Swivel shoulders that are on a hinge, so effectively a ball hinge shoulder joint, ball hinge elbow, wrist goes in and out because of transformation, ball hinge hips, thigh swivel, hinge knees. And yeah, he kind of reminds me of Gimli. He's, squat Gimli from Lord of the Rings. So anyway, we'll see. But you know what? The figure on its own is okay. If you can get past the scale, you can get past all the issues I have with the kibble and paint apps and materials they use. On its own, it's okay. But comparing it with the other figures, with the rest of the line, it's a bit of a letdown. So we'll talk about rating later on. One light. What's going on? So transform him. This, you can already do this if you want to. Tab in the head, just like G1. And he's got that chomp. See, no spring. Which is, fine. I'm not really big on it. But, kids would want a chomping feature that had a spring-loaded action. I mean, no weapons, right? They could have spent that extra bit of dollars on that. Anyway, the instructions aren't very clear on the legs. They just tell you to, okay, move this out like that, and then what? They don't really tell you to do much with it. It just says swivel it out, swivel out the tail, and then the tail just becomes automatically like that. So there is a bit of maneuvering that you need to do when you get these arms out of the way. Okay, put these arms down. There's a bit of maneuvering. You'll have to align. You're giving this to your kid. Your kid might be frustrated at first because, look, it doesn't want to fit. That's what the instruction said. Yeah, I thought so too. But you'll have to stretch out the legs a little bit and then just make sure that this thing clears it like that. So you'll have to bend the knees forward a little bit until it stops and then just close it like that. Because in its regular mode, it's not going to happen. So you'll have to do just a bit like that. Okay, and then there's a bunch of comb-like tabs that you have to the tail. That folded out. And you just tab everything in like that. And then fold the feet down like that. And then you have to find the alignment, the proper alignment, so that the feet sort of touch the back like that. Wait, let me see. Okay. Hold the feet like that. Okay. And then finally, there's a bit of plastic. My bad. Finally, this one you detach, and you sort of the instructions just say detach, reattach. Yeah, right. Okay, detach, swivel, 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 straighten out, and reattach. That's how you do it. Detach, swivel out, swivel back in, and attach. Fold the fists like this. Rotate, rotate. Just like in G1, his arms become the legs. And let me see if I can just 2 clicks. And the functioning arms. Let me see if he can stand up on his own. 1 click. Okay. With Yeah, he doesn't tell. So there is Grimlock in his Godzilla alt mode. Mega breath. Looks like Godzilla, like a fat Godzilla, like the latest incarnation in Hollywood, Godzilla. He could pass as a T-Rex, I suppose. So, just to drive home the point of how small this guy is, here he is with Age of Extinction. And these Age of Extinction toys are small. Okay. This is Age of Extinction Slash, and this is Grimlock. Yes, I know, he's a bit lanky, he's thin, he's elevated, yes, but even just the sheer amount of volume that this figure has, definitely much bigger than this guy. And this guy had extra pieces for weapons. This guy didn't have anything. I mean, this guy had the gimmick? Sort of. But anyway, that's how small this thing is. So, great big letdown for me. Sorry, folks. I know there were a lot of you who, I mean, look at that. He should be twice the size. And the 3-step, I mean, you know, some people will say, why don't you just get the 3-step Grimlock? That's just way too big. It's bordering on an ultra class, leader class size. So, not bothering with that. This guy, I'd like to give it a 7, but he has some good points, so he's going to get a low 8 for me. I don't want to give a 7.5, so 8 is okay. He's probably definitely a lower score than this one. I definitely recommend this one more than this one if you're a kid, but if you're a collector. But if you're a kid who just watched the show and you just absolutely love Grimlock, Grimlock was okay for me. He wasn't my favorite. I like Strong Arm, although she could be annoying. Strong Arm, Sideswipe, yeah, Bumblebee. The 3 of them are okay. Grimlock he's probably my 4th favorite in the show because he was just way too funny. So if you liked him, maybe you can get this toy or just get the 3-step. But this one, don't get your hopes up. I mean, it is what it is. So there you go, folks. Minimus Grimlock. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. If you did, please click the thumbs up icon at the bottom. Follow me on Twitter for my toy purchases. Instagram for my toy sightings here in Manila. Both Instagram and Twitter will have the FX Friends username. Don't forget to share. Subscribe to this channel, Chefatron. This is where I do all my video reviews for Transformers, Star Wars, Marvel, G.I. Joes, whatnot. Chefatron on YouTube, but on Instagram and Twitter, it's FX Friends. Yeah, this has been the Transformers Robots in Disguise Warrior Class, Deluxe Class, Tinymus Grimlock. Thanks for watching.